Hello. Today we're going to be critiquing the photographer by the name of Brassai. His real name is Gyula Halas, and he was born in 1899 in Romania. In 1924, he moved to Paris and got a job as a journalist. His job and his hobby of frequently wandering the city at night led to his photography. He later wrote that he used photography in order to capture the beauty of the streets and gardens in the rain and fog, and to capture Paris by night. His first collection of photographs that captured the essence of Paris was in a book titled Paris de Nuit in 1933. His pictures ranged from the unwholesome side of Paris to a glimpse of the city's high society, its intellectuals, its ballets, and the grand operas. This first image, titled Beauvis Marcel à la Chapelle from 1933, depicts the not-so-glamorous side of Paris. The subject of the image is a prostitute standing under a lamppost in the center of the frame. The only source of lighting is coming from the lamp, causing the subject to have top lighting that creates a shadow on her face. This technique, along with the corner of a building framing the picture on the right, creates sort of a sense of taboo. The shadow cast on her face from the lamppost, along with her stance, gives the viewer a sense of shame for the prostitute. This photo is interpretive because it leaves room for the viewer to interpret and gather his or her own ideas about the image and the subject within the image. This next image is called Group in a Dance Hall from 1932. This photograph is interesting as he uses the rule of thirds to place the main subject, which is the man in the foreground. The mirror in the image allows for another perspective of the scene, giving the viewer a sense of almost being there and creating a larger scene. This photo is both descriptive and explanatory, showing the viewer the who, what, where, and why of this particular scene. This next photo is called Portrait of Henry Miller from 1931. This photo is descriptive, since it is a portrait of the famous writer of his time. The subject is framed by the door and creates an intimate feel from using a head-on shot. The negative space enhances the subject, which, with his casual holding of a cigarette, makes the viewer feel as if the subject is an old familiar friend. His work is currently displayed in the MoMA, with a whole exhibition dedicated to him. His significance and contribution is showing the world Paris in its different lights. His depiction of the city gave the world a better sense of the city of love and allowed viewers to catch a glimpse into the different corners of life in Paris. His work is important because it explores different lighting techniques to portray different scenes. His night photography techniques is important to the field of photography during his era, as the shutter of the camera would need to be open for longer in order to create the effects of some of his photos. His photos touch on descriptive, explanatory, interpretive, and aesthetically evaluative compositions, as well as touching on realism, objectivity, and naturalism. Viewing his work was great, changing my perception on photography in the early 20th century. I had no idea that so many different techniques could be implemented with manual cameras from this era.